everyone, it's Lauren with AKE Safety Equipment. As temperatures drop and ice forms, many take to the waters for ice fishing and other fun outdoor activities this time of year. But before going out on the frozen lake, pond, or even river, we encourage you to take extra precautions to ensure safety for not just yourself, but everyone else on the ice. One of our biggest concerns that we have is falling through the ice. However, it is equally important not to forget the other dangers ice fishing presents. The risks you should be aware of include injuries such as cuts, fish hook-related injuries, fires, burns, and carbon monoxide poisoning. Help minimize these dangers this year by preparing yourself now for the possibility of an emergency. Falling through the ice is very dangerous and could easily happen to anyone. It is always best to err on the side of caution. We recommend reading your local fishing reports and pay attention to your surroundings. People will start to congregate where the ice fishing is best, but it also brings an extra peace of mind to know that somebody else has already found a safe place to fish. Choosing safe ice is the first step for preventing tragedy. It is important to keep in mind that ice thickness is not always consistent. You cannot judge it strictly by appearance, so it's essential to drill test holes as you progress out onto the ice. This process may take some time, but it will help you to judge the thickness and the character of the ice as you proceed. As you progress out on the ice, beware of any partially submerged materials such as trees. It is best to stay away from cracks, slushy areas, and darker areas of ice, as these can be indicators of thinner ice. It is also a wise idea to be cautious of heavily snow-packed areas, as this can prevent the surface from actually freezing. When venturing out, it is best to not go alone. You never know when an accident could happen and a friend could save your life. If you do go alone, make sure to inform someone of where you're going and when you plan to return. We also recommend wearing a life vest or a flotation device over your snowsuit or clothing. If you were to fall in, a life jacket will not only provide flotation, but it could help protect you from hypothermia. In addition to the life jacket, it is a good idea to have a small emergency kit with you at all times. This kit could include items such as a lighter, pocket knife, compass, whistle, waterproof matches, and of course, a phone. This small safety kit can be used to help you survive if you were to fall in and you can't get out. What you should do to help extend your survival time if you do fall in is to start by staying calm and then use the whistle to help attract help from others. Then keep your movements slow and deliberate to help conserve as much heat as possible while you're moving back to where you may have entered the water. You will notice a progressive decrease in your strength and ability to move, but do your best to remain as calm as possible. If you're able to get back on the ice, we recommend pushing yourself forward on your stomach. It's important to keep your weight distributed over a greater surface area so the ice does not break. Keep pushing forward like this until you're on an area of solid ice. Once safe ice has been established, it's safe to stand up. Although falling through the ice is a great concern, did you know that approximately half of all ice fishing related injuries, according to the Mayo Clinic News Network, involve broken bones, sprains, and strains? More than 33% of these injuries were also related to others such as abrasions, cuts, fish hook related incidents, and some of these accidents may be less or more severe than others. However, help could be far away, and that may be time that you don't have. So in case this happens to you, an emergency medical kit could make a huge difference. This kit should be kept in a designated area that is easy to access in the event of an emergency. Make sure everyone is informed on this location of this kit in case it is needed. This kit should include items such as antiseptic wipes, alcohol prep pads, antibiotic ointment, tri-cut adhesive tape, sterile gauze, band-aids, disposable gloves, tweezers, wire scissors, pain relief tablets, CPR mask, hand sanitizer, and burn aid, for example. You may consider adding additional items to your kit depending on your needs, but make sure you have one while you're out on the ice. You never know when you'll need to use it. As most people are aware of the previously mentioned dangers of ice fishing, many don't consider the possibility of a fire or burns. But according to the Mayo Clinic News Network, burns are just as common and harmful as falling through the ice. These fires are typically not discussed, and they happen far too often. The cause of these fires is typically due to small propane heaters, space heaters, small bonfires, and even tailgate-style cookers that people use. Space heaters in particular are dangerous because they are prone to tip-overs or being left on for far too long. If tipped and hot, the heater can easily ignite materials that are next to it. To ensure your safety from fire and prevent tipping, it's important to place the heater on a stable, level surface in a safe location. This location has got to be somewhere where it's not going to be tipped over and accidentally knocked while you're fishing. For those with more permanent shelters and using small propane heaters, fire is just as common and of a risk as a space heater. However, in addition to the risk of fire, you also prone the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning if there's not proper ventilation. So we want you to make sure that all fumes are directed away and can't enter your shelter through any opening to ensure safety of yourself and others. If you keep a heater or use a small grill in your shelter, make sure to not leave them on or unattended. When selecting a heater, be sure to choose one that will help minimize your risk of fire. We recommend staying away from anything with exposed heating coils and opting for a heater with an auto-off feature. This feature is great because once a certain temperature is reached in your space heater, they'll automatically turn off. And additionally, they also have ones, if they're tipped, they'll turn off as well. But even when being careful and having all of these safety features, fires can still occur. That's why you need to have an extinguisher like STOP-FYRE in an easily accessible location. If a fire is going to happen, it will be quick. You need STOP-FYRE within 6 seconds to prevent a fire tragedy from getting out of control. That's why it's extremely important for you to have STOP-FYRE with you on the ice. Because by the time you make it back to your car and back on the ice to your shanty, the fire could be well out of control. All of your equipment and even lives could be easily hurt or lost. Avoid a catastrophe and don't become another fire statistic. Be prepared with a fire emergency with STOP-FYRE. You never know when a fire will happen to you or those that you love, but you can prepare, prevent, and minimize the damage with an extinguisher like STOP-FYRE.